Welcome to Liberty Free to Be, the podcast that celebrates women finding their voice, their confidence, and their own version of freedom. I'm your host, Rachel Peru, speaker, model, storyteller, and a champion of showing up as your most unapologetic self. Each episode, I sit down with incredible women who share the real, powerful, sometimes messy stories that shaped who we are today. So settle in. This is your reminder that you are free to grow, free to change, and free to be fully, fabulously you. Welcome back to a new week of Liberty Free to Be, and I hope you're having a good February, and it's nearly March. Can you believe it? Time has flown by already, and I am so ready for spring and some more blue skies and less rain. It's been a busy month already, and I've got lots of guest speakers joining me. I've got an amazing lineup to share with you all. I'm so excited about it. And one of the things I really wanted to do with this podcast is introduce you to some of the favourite people that I follow on Instagram. Because I think social media can be such an important tool to really build your confidence and to follow people that really inspire you, that help motivate you, to make you see the world in a better place. And some of these people that I follow on a daily basis have made that difference to my life and to my feed. And it's all about curating that to make sure that you're following the right people for you, which is what I'm loving about sharing and introducing you to some of these guests. And also for me to talk to them in person, because lots of the time, like today's guest, I've been following her for years and we've never actually met, and we share lots of different messages between our DMs, and we've never had a proper conversation. So I am so excited today to be joined by Emma Shirley, otherwise known as Ami Bisbrook Artisans. She calls herself Amy in Wonderland, and that's what her feed is just like. It is like just a joyful page full of curiosity, dance, and joyfulness. And I love following her and what she stands for. She's had quite a journey to get to where she is, and I can't wait for her to share her story with you all. So grab a coffee and enjoy. So I am so excited to have you on finally, Amy. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, actually, all things being considered, but isn't that life for everybody?
It
So I'm
is.
doing really well. I'm just excited about this. Thank you for having me.
We have,
What an honor.
we've just been chatting before we joined on live, and we've been following each other, both of us, for quite some time, and it's
Yes.
just so lovely to finally have a conversation, because you do fill my feed with so much joy, Amy, and you always brighten my day when I see you. So I can't wait to share you with my audience. So thank you so much for your time. For anyone that doesn't know anything about you, how do you kind of describe the work that you do?
Goodness. So I think you mentioned joy, and I think recently I've really confirmed that. As in before, it was the way I healed myself in a lot of ways, and I hadn't analyzed it or looked too deeply about joy. But I would say more recent, I think my work is going to be linked with joy. And I don't know how I'm going to bottle it, how I'm going to share it, because I've got this sort of stronger feeling about it being a right. We say food and air is our right
Yes.
to have, to live. And I'm going to go further to say, and maybe others do say it, that joy is a human right, no matter what's going on in your life. If you can't have access or can't feel joy, then it's kind of, leaves you with very little to grasp life by, really.
Yes.
It's different from happiness. That's what I was going to say. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can still find whatever's going on, you can still find those glimmers of joy in every single day, in every situation, can't you?
I was just going to say, by joy, I didn't mean it has to be a big event or a big, significant anything other than learning to find it, almost choosing it each day. Show me where the joys are today. That's the way I have felt. So much at peace as well, which is interesting.
And this
Yeah.
has been a journey for you, because it's taken you
Has.
it's taken you through different stages to get to this point. So
Yeah.
let's kind of go, I suppose, pre-COVID life. It feels like there's a before and after of COVID, doesn't there, for everybody? But pre-COVID life, you were living with your husband, and you were running a successful bakery, and
That's
life
right.
was good, and
Yeah.
then everything changed.
Everything did change. And I think, before COVID hit as well, and we were running this business and doing really well. I think we escalated too fast, actually, and we were both aware of it because we didn't make the business bigger in terms of people employment, but we wanted it to be very organic. Excuse the pun, but it was a sourdough, which is also a really old Egyptian way of making bread, better for your health. So I got very passionate about that. What I wanted to say, actually, Rachel, is I still can't believe, though, how we gave up our well-earned jobs to do this. I can't even remember the process except that we did it. A lot of my friends were worried. So he stopped his work in IT in London first and just came home and wanted to say, you know what, I've had enough. I've had enough of travel. I've had enough commuting, which is expensive anyway. I'm tired. I'm knackered.
Yes.
And actually, I do like making bread because what I should add the context of is he was already doing it at weekends. And we had some village friends saying, please, can we buy that bread? And at first he was just going to say, no, 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 have it. But really, it was good to make it valuable in terms of even with friends. And so we were selling 3 loaves a weekend. That's all it was. But it kind of started from there because what happened, I remember I started my Instagram with bread and it was a local cafe that saw the bread and then just messaged, said, what's the chances of having some loaves for the cafe? That's when we realized, okay, there's something in this. So we said yes to everything in the beginning, as you do.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
It's okay. It's a learning process because there was some, even individual clients who wanted this with their bread, that with their bread. And we did say this is actually sourdough. So while we can change certain things, this is really what our produce is. But I got into marketing, giving up teaching after 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know anything about marketing. So when I say I got into marketing, all I'm saying is the process of selling, which was to me telling. It was telling a story. So I used my background in education and I've always remembered the kids are bored if you're just going to just say it, whereas you've got to say a story. So that's how I started. I just started to tell the story. And he did not miss his work at all. We did actually let go of a lot of money in the sense of, money is important. And we replaced it with some kind of peace. And obviously, we were aware of what we needed to earn, but it could have gone even bigger. And then, yeah, what happened was COVID did hit, sorry. And that did affect the business somewhat, although it increased in another way because do you remember when the restaurant, I can't believe it, but the restaurants were closing, pubs were
Yes.
closing, really kind of crazy when you think about back on it.
Yes.
But we were like always working and saying, well, what could we provide the pubs if they're closing? We can do sourdough pizza basis, and so then we had huge orders of sourdough pizzas, and it went on, and then BBC, I think it was Escape to the Country, searched for a bakery here in our area because this couple, the program is based on a couple buying and then they get to do something.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
apparently, is it called the search engine? I still don't know anything about anything in that way.
Yes.
It came up as one of the top bakeries because we were sourdough sort of winning, award winning bread as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So this guy just rings me up one morning, and he goes, "Hi, you won't know me, but I'm Luke. I'm from BBC." And I thought, "Oh, is this a prank call or whatever?" But it was fun. All of it was fun. But during COVID, we couldn't get close. It was all filmed in our bakery and outside, and they've got it on BBC, and it was just, how can I say, it was fast. Everything that I'm telling you was over, it was really fast. Then there were more cafes. After that program, we had people knocking on our door, coming, saying, can we have this bread? And so it went a bit crazy. And then, and then I just want to say that, and I'm very open about it on Instagram, so I will say, but it's how you say, isn't it? But obviously, Lance and I, my husband, were having difficulties. We were also drifting apart as the bread dough was rising. we were kind of drifting apart, and it is my third marriage, so, and I find it really amazing what I've learned because I don't beat myself up about my other 2 divorces. We're still friends, and they are amazing kind of men roles for my girls. My girls say to me, we've actually got 3 men in our lives, and they love it.
Yeah. How
But
special is
what
that?
I'm saying, yeah, how special. What I'm saying is it was my probably the way I saw things and how determined I was, not to let that affect, but to make sure there was very little hatred. And I'm not saying all things are easy like that. So my experience of the 3 marriages and the 2 divorces and nearly the 3rd one with Lance is simply forgiveness and making sure you know who you need to care about, which at that state were my 4 girls. So I've got 4 girls, and that's how I did it. But with Lance, coming back to fast forward to Lance, that was really difficult to navigate because truthfully, he was also down. Men don't talk about it when they're down. And I think he was just feeling everything was too much. Then his mum got ill. And so what he did was he decided to leave, but we hadn't kind of really talked about what that meant. Are you coming back? Are we going to be together? So he left and we stayed in contact. And he probably wanted to stay in contact more from his side than me in some ways. So a broken heart and everything, which was like, that felt the end of the world at my age as well. How old was I? I
Yeah.
think it was 5 years ago. So I was 61 when he
Mm.
left me, 60, 61, 62, 63. Yeah, I'm 66 now. 2021, he left me. Yeah, I'm not going to be good at remembering the exact date. But what I will say is, yes, it was actually one of the most terrible experiences because, and each separation was a bit like that, but this was big. And
Mm.
so as it went on, it was only about 3 months after he left that I then got a cancer diagnosis. And that was another thing again. And I think that just
That's a
derailed
lot
me
in a
from.
short space of time.
Yeah, do they say these things, sometimes things happen in threes, like a perfect
Yes.
storm? Because that was a
Yeah.
perfect storm. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, and her husband, who's a chef, they decided, do when he left, shall we they'd already started to do things with us.
Mm.
So what was good is present day they've got a really successful foodie business. So
Yeah.
they work in the bakery in our garden, and yeah, so they've taken it on, which is wonderful. So it works out, doesn't it? The mess is kind of what we're working with, and you have to work with it, that mess. And I think that's what it was. And I still didn't know what my role in life was going to be, and I still don't worry about that anymore. I don't need roles or goals in life. I need to really center myself in my present, because that's what I've learned from it. The Power of Now, which I read years ago by Eckhart Tolle, it was great, but it didn't really make sense to me. But now, and it's taken all these years, it is literally about today, this moment that I'm talking with you. Everything that I can find is in this moment with you. Everything that I need, and that is so powerful if you really can go with that. Now, I don't mean you shouldn't have
Yeah.
dreams and goals. I didn't mean that, right? But I
Yeah.
don't
It's
actually
about being
plan
in that
that far
moment.
ahead. Because if you're in this moment, believe me, you've then learnt something huge. And that's how I find my peace now. And I can still plan things, but I don't actually plan on to sort of in detail anymore. Not at all. And I will keep some big things planned, like my travel to San Francisco. I keep those sort of in mind, because things change. Things come across and they change. And I think how can I put it? I think you deal with that actually better, if that's the right word, or more, sometimes with more ease, maybe is a better way of seeing it, if you've already learnt to live in your present, because that's how you will deal with that. Because you'll then say, a day at a time, okay, do you know what?
Yes.
I don't know what will happen, but this is what I can do now. What can I do now? I'm going to do it now. Where am I meant to be right now? That's where I want to be. Um, it's choosing, isn't it? It's choosing.
Yeah.
The miracle in all this is, after my cancer, obviously that was grueling. That was quite brutal. That was like 2 years, I'd say, loss of hair, everything. And Lance started to really panic and freak out with my illness. He wanted to be with me and everything, and he just wanted to know everything. And I didn't have the bandwidth. So it's interesting. the very time he kind of was like that, I couldn't hear, I couldn't see. And do you know what? And it wasn't just Lance. I was a little bit like that with a lot of my friends, not in a rude way, because they were so
Mm,
helpful. People want to help you during that time. And I did have a really great sort of group of friends who would take me to chemotherapy, bring me back. Because remember, it's COVID, I couldn't take anyone
yeah,
with me.
yeah,
So I went from, and I would say that I am quite insecure in this area. So it's taken me a long time. It is about self love. People often say, "Oh, but Amy, you're so, you look as if you must love yourself a lot." And I said, no, that there's no such thing as looking like you love yourself. It's
no,
being. And and the thing is, yes, I can dance, and I always wanted to be on stage when I was little, but my dad would never have let me anyway. So I went into education. So I did it through my little children in my school. I made them dance and do all kinds of things. It is a confident building thing, but as we say, confidence will ebb and flow anyway throughout your life. But what I needed was this solid recognition of Amy. Who is Amy? And it's taken me a long time. And I think I would not choose cancer as a path, but actually it was a real smack and a real way for me, because part of my issue was people pleasing, wanting
yeah,
validation, hoping that everybody will like what I do. And do you know, as I say this to you, I even love Amy more because I know she was just trying to be and find herself. So I don't beat myself up. Oh, why are you doing that? Why are you looking for
right,
recognition there? Why do you want validation there? And so now the way I do it is, it's okay. No wonder I wanted it, and some of it links back to childhood, whatever. So the way I deal with it, and still now I rein it back to, it's okay. You wanted that, but you can give it to yourself. Okay, it's
yes,
okay. You were trying to shine there, and actually don't feel bad for shining, because when you shine from the source of yourself, you will actually give permission to others to shine. And I never understood that.
absolutely. Yeah, that's what you do. That's what your social media feed is full of, and that's what
Oh, that
I get from
means
you. Absolutely.
really? It shouldn't make you.
Yeah.
And if there's sort of, some people, if they feel a bit of jealousy, envy, it's okay. That is okay too. That is okay. We're all humans. All emotions are human. It's just flagging up something that they need. And it's great
Yes.
too. They may be missing something, and that's okay. But I'm so glad you said that, because I don't always know. Well, I do know, but I don't always focus on that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It has to come from me, and obviously I go out. But the time I did realize it a lot wasn't through Instagram, in fact. It was during my early stages of cancer, when I bought my red pair of boots, and I thought, when I get better, I'm going to wear those red pair of boots. And that is I had to have a symbol. We're all different. And I had to have that symbol. And I used to keep my red boots on my windowsill, and I looked at it every day once I got moving. And then when I got well enough to move, I did wear those red boots. And I've never forgotten my first, when I say dance, I mean kind of where I chose to go publicly in front of total strangers on Oxford Circus it was. I know there's
Yes.
buskers, and there was a really good singer there. And I just whispered quickly, I said, do you mind if I just dance? I just had to do it. And I don't know what drove me to it. Was I fearful? Kind of no. As in, I'd already got through. I just knew that, do you know where the fear is? The fear is if you overthink before. But what I did is I came out of Oxford Circus, and I heard this guy singing. So it was very spontaneous, I would say. And I went up, and I had my red boots, and I thought, this is it, Amy. This is it. You have to do it now. Do I want to do it now? Yes, I did. That was simple as that. And that taught me something else about fear. It is there. So you just do it, don't you? In other words, you
Yeah.
cannot deal with the fear. You can't. You'll be stuck dealing with it forever. So,
Yes.
or, for a long time there. And you can change your mind. You can change your mind, because I did that when before coming onto the Palladium. I remember with
That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
yeah, so
Definitely. We'll have
I'll
that
mention that
conversation.
again.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll mention that again. I'm
Yes.
terrible. I'm terrible. You have to rein me back. But so when I did dance, that was when I did think a little bit. It went through my head that, what's the worst if somebody does throw something at you, even, or tell you to get off, whatever you visualized. And sometimes the worst is nothing, nothing, quiet. That's when I was surprised how many people came up and said, you actually made my day. I thought, what the dickens are they talking about? I really loved it, and I was doing it for my healing, I'll be honest. This is how I know in hindsight that I was dealing it, using it for that. And then it went on, and then the next one was quite important as well, which was in Victoria and Albert Museum, V&A, and I went, and it was on men's fashion. So I did go for the exhibition, but I went into a room round the corner, and oh my God, on this massive wall were these men dancing in their fashion clothes. And one of them had boots a little bit like I was wearing, and these are another pair, which is flatter, but they're red as well. And I looked around and thought, can I? Can I? Dare I? So I just said, and there were those people, I said, would you be happy? Because the first time, by the way, somebody offered to video. So, and then I thought, let me ask. I said, would you be happy just to video me? I'm just going to do something on, I don't know what, but I'm just going to do something against that beautiful whatever. And it was a little platform. There was a stage kind of thing. So I just got up. I don't know if you're allowed. I didn't know whether I'd be taken away, but I just got up and I started to dance with those people in the background. People gathered, and at the end of it, they clapped.
I love
And
this
there you
so
go.
much.
Maybe I've wanted those claps, Rachel, because I wanted to be on stage and my dad wouldn't let me. But no
Yes.
more. That's just an amusing story. He's a doctor. I come from a family of doctors. And I had to be a doctor. I had to be this. It was all about, you understand. That's probably quite
Yes.
common in a lot of families. Let's be honest, right? They want, to be sort of academic. And so, oh my God. And after that, that was it. It was kind of clinched. I knew that I would dance everywhere, anywhere, wherever. And I've got more funny stories with that, obviously. But those two dances started me off. And I'd worn that day, I was really proud of what I wore, in the sense that it really went with the fashion. It went with the fashion, a kind of geometric pattern coat, bright colors. I don't always go for bright colors, but bright colors um, do make me happy if I use them in the right way. And that's a different thing. But I couldn't believe at the end they made me fill a survey in. And I was just amazed again there when they clapped. And I laughed. I just laughed. You just got to laugh at yourself. And I think what's built up to the recent dance I did, and I think you might have seen me in that orange dress outside
Yes. Yeah. Gorgeous.
Bridgerton,
Bridgerton.
is is that now I'm willing for you to laugh at me. I am absolutely ready for anyone to laugh at me or with me or feel the joy. It doesn't matter. I don't overthink it. And what happened was there were quite a few tourists building up. And my gorgeous friend Dolly said, Amy, why don't you wait? Let them take the photo of. I think they've come for the house. I said, oh, no, of course they've come for the house. They haven't come for me. I'd wait. But then they'd say, no. They said I think they wanted to see what I was going to do. Curiosity
Yes.
doesn't
Yeah.
always kill the cat. Curiosity is human nature. Let them be nosy. So I went, oh, okay. And then there I go. They're all like
I
laughing and
love it
smiling.
so much.
Oh,
Honestly,
it's
for those that can't
infectious.
see this, so for those that can't see that aren't watching on YouTube, I am smiling from ear to ear at these stories. I absolutely love it. Because what I love about it, Amy, is you are giving other people permission to find their own joy. That's what we're all searching for. We're looking at other people to see what they're doing, and then we're going, they've done that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to give myself permission to do that too.
Yeah, yeah, because so many human beings, and maybe this is my area, because the other side of it is I wasn't good at stopping people pleasing, whereas other people are better at that. They know they're more valid, they have got a stronger base. So that's what I needed to build up. But likewise, we learn from each other. It's giving permission, isn't it, that you said, which is beautifully said. Yeah, I agree. So instead of shrinking and thinking it's not my turn, I noticed that, and maybe teaching in school made me do that. I noticed the quieter children. I noticed the children who would always, and again, I was probably one of those, because they might be
Yes,
trying
I
to please
was.
me.
Mm. Yeah,
Isn't it? Yeah, you might be trying to
yeah.
please your teacher. So I was, and I got kind of like probably, what's the word I'm looking for? Put down for it, maybe, right? But I did notice the quieter ones, and the way I did it is I made sure that the quieter ones had a separate time, and everybody had their time. So in assemblies, teachers were notorious for having one Cinderella, for example, the main person, or one character. And I was well renowned, and I used to do I then became a head of department, and I really was keen that, please, it's actually quite creative. Have three Cinderellas, have them sing together, at least something, and change, you know, because I would to be, the school had a play. And I couldn't speak English very well as well when I arrived, 6 years old, obviously, from Bangladesh. And by 7, I was probably learning to read and speak, but I never had a part in the play. Now, the reason I remember that is it matters to me. Now, somebody else might not care. So we're all different, aren't we, as well? But how much it mattered to me shows, and that's what it is, isn't it? Is now I feel I can, and like you say, the beautiful thing of this is, I'm not looking for validation when I do it. Isn't it interesting? So I
Yes.
needed something where I'm not asking you equally, oh, is it okay? And trying to please you by doing it either. It's just a beautiful way to express myself. And I hope that others do that in their way, whichever is your way. That's my motto. You know, you've got to feel your way. And I love that permission thing, because sometimes when you also don't want to shine and you're shrinking yourself for whatever reason, or you feel, do you know what? Let someone else have their turn. That's very kind and compassionate, but I do think that it is like anything else. Joy is infectious, as is sorrow. We're human beings. We share, and if you're really melancholic or morose or down, or that is going to also be quite easy to feel when others are feeling it. So that's what I'm saying. In the same way, nothing wrong with feeling all those feelings, by the way, but
Yes.
in the same way, share that joy. Don't bottle it, share it. And the way things are in the world, which I'm very well aware of,
Yes.
you've got to do that more, not less. Because it would be very easy to curl up in the mornings these days and think, what is the point when,
Yeah.
this is going on or that is going on? And that's when, rounding it off to what I started with, sorry, I've just got a little thing in my throat, is how I was saying about it's a human right. And so I'm going to
Yes.
go with that and speak more about that, because we all need that in our lives to make our lives worth living,
Yes.
because we're not
Yeah.
always going to have a joyous thing to be joyous about either. Does that make sense?
It
Yes,
does. Yeah, it
yeah,
does. And I think, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was as well when you did Sophie's nude catwalk. So that's
I
that's
know.
you seek that's you seeking something out, I'm guessing, at a time when you were probably still healing a bit and getting reconnected with your body. So how difficult or how easy
100%.
was it to make that decision to go and do it? Because that's brave to do that. I'd love to do it. I really would love to do it, but
You
I
would
think it was an
be
amazing thing to do.
You would be brilliant. I mean, you already do brave things like that, in your underwear, your beautiful body confidence, or it doesn't mean you're 100% confident. That's the point, isn't it? You're
Yeah,
showing,
it
again, you're
is.
giving us
Yeah.
permission. Yeah. It doesn't mean, look, I'm perfect. And that's, the message is, look, this is me, this is real. And where are you? It's giving us permissions to show that. I think with Sophie T, I remember what happened was, I happened to choose, and this is how life works out, before I applied, because it was an application, I happened to say to myself, I'm going to say yes to a few things, but I can't say yes if I haven't even applied or done it, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's no good wanting to write a book if you haven't started the book.
Yes.
So I just applied, and it was one of many things that year. And I got a telephone call through, actually, and someone said, oh, hi, this is Sophie T's, I think it was producer or whatever. But I heard Sophie T's name a little bit, but I still thought it was a prank. Everything I'm saying, I think, is a prank. Honestly, I don't trust in straight away. So I went, sorry, have you got the right number? Who is this again? I was like that. I was so rude. Really? Well, I feel it was rude compared to
I
how
can't
I
believe
can
that.
be. Oh. So I said, and then she said, Sophie T, you applied to be a nudie. And then I went, oh my God. Okay. Then I thought, yeah, it's going to tell me thank you. Because we're just ringing up to say thanks for the application. I thought, yeah, here it comes. Honestly, yeah. Try again another year, whatever. And she goes, and you've got it, you've got accepted. I said, no way. And I then went into, no way. Oh my God. And because I just wasn't expecting it. So it was a real high moment there. It really was. And then she says, "Yeah, Sophie T's here. If you want to have a word," because I don't think I believed it. And then
Mm,
Sophie T had a quick word with me, and then Alex said, her producer said, and I am quite kind of, taken aback, but there were 10,000 applicants.
yeah, I can believe it.
And normally she chooses 25. But this year, because of that, she decided to choose 50. So there were 50 of us. And that was it. So I said yes, and I didn't think anything else. She goes, okay, we'll be in touch. And I just was, because then I thought, wait, Amy, what did you apply for?
What have I done?
Oh my God, wait, read that again. It's being a nudie on stage. I thought, oh, I don't know. But I've said yes, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'd never back out, by the way, if I do commit. I do feel,
Yes.
no. It would have to be a very important reason to back out. So when afterwards, you don't really, oh, I know there was an interview day. So that was great. That's when I enjoyed it. I loved it with my red boot story. And isn't it funny? You can't have shoes on in the show,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
she let me off. She chose me to have my red. She let me, and so because of that,
Perfect.
after the show, honestly, months later, I kid you not, Lance was here, and we were in a tattoo show, something looking, and this girl from a stall said, "Excuse me," because I had my red boots on. "Were you on London Palladium?" Because she'd remembered my red boots. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
It's
Yes.
it's amazing, isn't it? So
Yeah.
she did let me have that, and I think at the Palladium, 6 a.m. I hadn't slept at all. That's what's also strange. I hadn't slept in the night at all. Arrived at 6 a.m. and that's when had the nerves. I could feel it. That's when it was in my stomach, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, no, what are you going to do?" So there was a gathering of us outside before they let us in. I started to talk to calm myself down, but I thought, oh, this is not working. So then I do the very thing you'd think, right, would make you more nervous, but not me. I said, I'm going to have to do this. I'll drop my bag. Sorry. Um, but not sorry. And I got up on the steps and I said, "Come on, everybody." And I just danced on the steps. They started to clap and there was no music.
Perfect.
And I think there's something about it for me. I
Yes.
enjoyed that. It was my way of de-nerve and being more excited. I was fine after that. And then becoming nude, I think what we forget is, or I didn't realize rather than forget, is it felt hard taking our clothes off, but when you were being painted, we did have some briefs on, but when we were being painted, I looked around at everybody else and I thought, oh my gosh, it's just like being adorned, but in
Yeah,
art.
it's beautiful. I mean, for those that don't know,
Beautiful
it's a
idea.
fabulous, yeah, it's
Yes,
beautiful. It's
yeah.
a fabulous collection of people that have body paint, and they go on stage and have their own moment on stage, all nude with the most amazing body paint on, and it's such a celebration of
Absolutely.
people's bodies,
Of
isn't it? It really is special.
100%. Really is. You're right. So yes, it's something I will never forget. And I think in its own way was life changing for me,
Mm,
life affirming and life changing, because no matter what happens, I felt I represented, an older age group, but then met somebody there that was 71, 72, which was wonderful. Honestly, she was just amazing. And so there are all kinds of ages and different stories with bodies, different stories, what had brought us all together. Yeah, and I loved actually, yeah, for the interview on stage though, I remember saying to them, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can. Isn't there like 2,500 people?" I mean, I had through my
don't think about
teaching
it.
been, no, don't think about it. And actually it is quite dark, isn't it, when you go on stage? But this is what you want, Amy. You wanted to be on stage. So this is your chance.
Yes, yeah,
So
it's your
I got
moment.
onto it moment, and when I got in, there was a bit of a silence, but what was lovely about the audience, they just started to clap. And I think clapping helps. So that was it. And then it went silent. And she asked different questions to each three of us that were there. Yeah. And when I talked, it was like, oh my God. First of all, it was like silence. But then I don't know what I said, but they broke into laughter, which I love. I thought, oh, great. They're a good crowd. Don't know what I said. I think it might have been the story of why I've always wanted to be on stage.
Yes.
And the time that I got taken off by two security guards. And I think that's it. Everybody laughed at that.
I just want to
So,
read one quote that I heard that you said about, because you've also
okay.
done cut work experiences, walks for cancer charities as well. And I found a
Yes.
quote that you said that I think is absolutely beautiful. It's that you said,
Ah,
"If I could roll out a catwalk experience wherever I go with music, I know it wouldn't just be fun, but it would be healing. People would be strutting their peacock feathers, filling their self-love cup until it overflowed to others." I think that is the most beautiful thing, Amy, and you are so right. I wish every woman could experience having that moment in the spotlight on a catwalk or on a
every
stage,
woman,
just to have that
every
moment
woman.
to own themselves and be in their own bodies. That's such a beautiful experience.
100%. And I got emotional there for a minute because not because it's what I said, it's why I said it as well. So it just reminded me of why I said it. Oh my gosh. Because going to that catwalk and the breast cancer show now was amazing because every single model there, and we were called models that day,
Yes.
um, had been through something or still going through something with cancer, with breast cancer. So when you see them, it's very emotional. We saw each other
Yeah.
because you then realize collectively, wow, we've been through this collectively, but now collectively, look what we're doing. And it's back to that, as you say, to have your moment. It's so
Mm.
important. It's not showing off. I've always changed it to
Yes.
showing up, isn't it? It's showing up, not showing off. And actually, by showing off, no, nothing was like more pleasing to the audience than if you just did something a bit extra. Or I started to dance. Obviously, I'm not going to not dance, even though we were taught
Yes.
to walk. But you know what? The main lovely person who taught us to walk, she just winked at me. She didn't mind because I thought
Yeah.
I can't just do that walk. I've got to get into this. There was good music, great music. So, do you know what I did with that, Rachel? Don't know if you know, or maybe I haven't shared it enough. Is that quote you just said, roll out the carpet? So, I took that idea further and wrote quite a lot about that and sent it in to these two human beings called Drop Dead Generous who give out some money for your idea. Okay. And obviously, it's for that idea. And I just said that and I got that. After the show because I felt very, very moved. And that's when I
Yeah.
thought of anybody on the street. And I'm not saying they would come and dance, but we're trying to make that into reality of something. It doesn't have, it might not be a red
Yeah.
carpet, it might be a green grass, but it's that trying to say, yeah, that I think it's needed. And I don't know
Yeah.
how I'm going to do that yet. I haven't thought too deeply about how, except that I know it's needed. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
to
I'm going to
strut
follow
in
that.
your
Oh, I hope you do.
yeah. Yeah.
Spreading joy
So,
wherever you go, Amy. That's what you're doing.
oh, yeah, definitely. And then knowing, like you do with how you model yourself and you uplift other women, you're giving something back to so many. And I want to be able to do that with this joy as the foundation. But however, means to you, it doesn't have to be a dance. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's it's just finding out how to stop shrinking if that's what you've been doing. Why not? You know, anybody who shrinks slightly, it's the same as we help with self-confidence, we help with other things. So it's kind of the same for me that and always see the child in people. Like I see I always carry Amy as a child, actually, funny enough, always, because that's when it wasn't happening. That's when everything
Yes.
equally stopped me doing it, not as a blame thing, but it's part of childhood, isn't it? Often we've been through stages and we didn't always have everything ticked at that time. And having said that, some of the children who did, the Cinderella, say, may also still grow up to find issues with his or her confidence. Do you see what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say? So it's always,
I have a picture. I have a picture of
do you?
myself as I'm just looking at it now. I'm 16,
Yeah,
17, and I've got that pinned on my notice board. So I see it every day when I'm working. So I remind myself that what
lovely.
I'm doing now, this girl would have been
Yes.
so proud of it, and she's seen now and she
Oh,
wasn't
I
back then.
love that. Yes, I love that. That's so important. Yeah.
Do you
And
think,
yeah.
Amy, that do you think that because you are still with Lance very much, but
I
he
know
is still
I
in the
didn't kind of
States.
explain how we're back together,
Yeah,
but we are.
so you
Yeah.
are back together, and you know, you are managing this long distance relationship. But do you think that's easier now because you are so comfortable in your own being and your own person now? Do you think that comes with age as well?
I think it does, 100%. I tend not to see things in ages so much, but I'm happy to. Does that make sense? Because of course
Yes.
it has. Of course it has. But meaning, shall I be honest, why I don't always see it in ages is I've also met older people or my age who are like working backwards almost for depending on what they're going through. They've lost their confidence or their, but
Yes.
it's important to get it back. So you get that. And then I've also met like 30-year-olds or 25-year-olds who seem to be really self-assured. So I
Yeah.
can't make sense of that timeline, but for me personally, it's definitely seems to have come with age because with age, I did enough things when I was young, to be honest, because I was quite a young mum to my eldest. I was 23, not as young as my mum had me. She was 16, for
Mm,
example.
gosh. Yeah.
But so you do all that, and I was fearless in a different way when I was younger, and I'd like some of that back, please. I really would. I
Yes.
never thought twice about doing things. I had an unusual background. Oh gosh, yeah, it was unusual. My family kind of didn't see me for 4 years. There was a lot of that, which then built up in me. What's the word? I needed a lot of healing and therapy because you don't know things like that when you're young. You just go through it, and people will say, "Oh, she's fine, she's fine." But with age has come definitely a more of a I think I would say I trust Amy. That's how it started. I
Yes.
trust her after all these
Yeah.
years. I believe in her, of course, but I trust her. And trust is quite an important word for me because I think that's what used to stop me sometimes doing things is if I wasn't trusted as well and I didn't trust myself enough, and then I
Yeah.
would abandon myself. I wouldn't go and do it. So
Yeah.
that's
I
why
really
I'm
relate to
now
that.
I close my
Yeah.
eyes now, and if it's a yes to something like it was with Sophie T's, for example, and breast cancer show, that was also an application. If it's a yes, I'm just going to go first of all, because trust is kind of I see it as, if you're religious, you would say faith maybe, but it is a bit like that. It's where you don't know what you're capable of, but you also don't know what's ahead. But if you're going to say yes, you have to jump sometimes, and that is trusting in yourself, isn't it? So I've learned that, and I think, gosh, do you know what? You need a separate podcast for Lance and me because what's amazing about that is a miracle. Because I was going to divorce him, 100%. I wanted to be alone after cancer. I thought, do you know what? I've been through the worst, and now I did it all on my own. You see, I didn't have anyone to hold my hand. I had love, don't get me wrong. I was so supported and loved by, and, in a community, and my daughters are amazing. But it is a lonely, lonely path, as a lot of difficult things in life are. Doesn't matter who's there. Ultimately, you're alone. And I think cancer was one of those experiences I felt ultimately alone. But he was very good. I tell you what he did is he started to say, "Look, it's okay. If you want the divorce, I'll get it. I'll pay for it, whatever, whatever." So he started it. And then January was a date when we had to reconfirm it. November was when he said, "But I'd like to first of all do something for you, Amy." Probably because of how I feel. He did admit to feeling guilt and bad, but that's not why he wanted to do it. He said, "You've been through so much. I want you to just come over to San Francisco. I want to give you a holiday, just rest." And obviously, I loved his mum, and I knew his
Yeah.
mum. I'd met her before, and I am Donald. I said, "Okay, I'll come as friends, etc." So I went, and what happened in that November trip was he said, "I've got something for you. Come out with me." And he'd remembered a story I used to tell him about riding a bike because my dad stopped everything. I nearly drowned, so he stopped swimming lessons. I fell off my bike and I was just learning to ride it, without stabilizers. He took away the
Yeah.
bike. It's quite
Mm.
unusual. And rounders, even. I remember in school that I actually caught the ball with my mouth, which I think is extra clever.
That's
But
impressive.
I went, "Oh gosh," but it knocked me out, and they had to call him to come.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it knocked me out, and I had a massive lip. That was it. He went to the headmaster and said she's not allowed to play rounders. In those days, they seemed to agree. Nowadays, a teacher would not say yes. Okay,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Anyway,
Yeah.
the reason I'm saying it is I always thought I do want to learn to swim. I still haven't, by the way. So that's on the cards.
Next on the
I
list.
do, next on the list, I do want to ride a bike again. But then I remember saying to Lance that, do you know what? I don't see what's wrong with a tricycle at my age. Why should I? I think it would be really cool to have a tricycle, but I just haven't got one. Anyway, he remembered that. So when he took me out to say, I've got something for you, and it was covered. I still didn't know, by the way, it's a tricycle, but he had
Mm,
got it big covered. And I thought, what the dickens is this going to be? And when he unwrapped it, it was pink. It was a pink tricycle. The year that,
brilliant.
before Barbie came in, the film, I mean. So it was a
Yeah.
pink tricycle. I just cried. I cried. And
Oh,
I just said, oh my God, you remembered that? This is probably the best gift ever. But little by little, it wasn't that he was trying to buy me back. He was really working hard to be thoughtful as well. And I needed that probably. And then I came back, and do you know what? I actually said sometime in December that actually Lance, because his attitude was, I'm okay with you divorcing, but I feel sad. But I said, well, look, if we stay friends and something happens, we can still do that. So I kept it very free like that, probably for me as well. But I stopped the divorce, which was
mm,
actually a good idea with visa
yeah.
and things, because he's American and he loves England, by the way. He can't wait to come back. But what we've done about our relationship, I think, because going back to long distance, you asked me, is it was really hard, and it wasn't for me. I got more needy. I would just like look at my phone all the time,
Mm,
and 8 hours difference. And why hasn't he called me? It was all of that. And then
yeah.
sometimes he was tired, or sometimes he couldn't call me because of work. I took it quite personally. I became like a teenager with loads of like needy problems. So I
Mm,
didn't like myself during that time. Really didn't like it. And I kept thinking, I can't do this, I can't do this. And there were countless times when I said, I can't do it, I can't do it. Um, and through sort of some friends of mine at that time helped me, and I realized that why can't I? It's not idyllic, and it's not
yeah.
ideal, but it was not meant to be permanent, by the way, meaning that we had a, you know, it was going to be, well, it is still going to be this year, this end of summer, when he comes over for good. We've got some
Wow,
visa
brilliant.
issues. Yeah, so we got through, but now, yeah, going back to what you said, whether it's my age, I have found my life, and it's all about self-love. And I knew I was on that journey through cancer, but the way it's affected Lance and I is the proof of the pudding. Is honestly, I don't feel needy. Oh, I love him. And it's the other way around. I know what I want now. So I'll say, hey, it'll be different. It'll be in a different way. Not that I need you, but hey, course, ring me later. Got something to tell you. It's the more and he finds that I was never like that. And he says, I love it. I love it. It makes it easier when you say what you want,
Yes.
and you go and get it. I've given myself whole permission to do things that I didn't before. And yeah, we're two different people though as well. I think that can
Yeah.
happen. You can choose who you want to be, and obviously we still love essentially who we are, but it's just beautiful how when he comes back, I'm still going to carry on with my life. He loves the crazy things I do, but he's going to probably bake sourdough again. I don't know. And he wants to learn to play this guitar. He's got his interests. I have mine. But here's what I love. I love the way he can come in and just say, hey, come with me. Come with me to Tesco's. I'm like I've never been excited to go to Tesco's with anyone. And I love it. It's simple things. Come for a
Yeah.
coffee. But my aspect of relationship where he's kind of come to learn to do, which he never would have done, is we're actually taking for interest a conflict course together. And it's all about conflicts with anyone. Anyone. That conflict is very integral to life. Drama is based on conflict, and all stories, human stories, will have a conflict. It's not the conflict you need to run away from, it's how do you work through that conflict. And we're
Yeah.
both really enjoying it. So that he did for me, really, initially, because I
Yeah.
love thinking about how to improve our relationship, because there was a bit of fear that will we go back to what I had those years ago. But I
Mm,
realize he's not the same person. He's not ill anymore. He's not down. And if he is, he's going to seek help. And he's not got, all those. sort of issues that he had then. And we will make sure his mum is okay, of course, because I
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely love her. She's 96,
Wow. That's
so she's
amazing.
doing well. Yeah.
Honestly, Amy, I could talk to you, and I can't wait to at some point this year. I'm saying it
Yeah,
on here.
please,
You and I are
please.
going to dance somewhere in London.
We
Somewhere we're going to make it
are.
happen.
We are. Yeah, we will,
Thank you,
Rachel. Thank
honestly,
you
so
so
much.
much.
I love
I've
talking
loved
to
it.
you, and I love what you give to other women. And it is about that word permission, but it's also just being your joyful self and finding those little moments. If you could give anybody some advice that somebody might be going through a bit of a tough time, whatever that means to them, what that looks like to them right now, what advice would you give them to just kind of really try and be aware of those little joyful moments? Because sometimes when you're in that black hole, it's very hard to think that there are them.
Very hard, and I've recently been learning to do that recently again. So it's going to be again and again. That's the other thing, to realize that life is kind of about repetition. And I think it is centering yourself in the moment, but allow yourself as well to be distracted if that's what you need. And breathing is a lot of simple things. Breathing, make that hot drink, but think about the hot drink, sit down with it, reach out sometimes. I do think sometimes people don't reach out enough. Reach out to someone and talk, because don't bottle anything up. Share something with somebody you trust. Maybe that will help. And it's a lot of practical things like that. But ultimately, it is actually trusting in that process, because none of us, no human being likes anything that's uncertain. We go a bit crazy, and life, most of it is actually uncertain.
Yes.
Most things are out of our control, contrary to what we felt or believed to know. It's out of our control. So whatever's out of control and making you feel like that means you need to do some simple things, whether it's a walk in nature, whether it's meeting a friend for a coffee. And slowly what happens is then you begin to find what you might be able to control within that situation. If something's not going well, if it's a health news, even there's questions you could ask. If it's to do with relationships, maybe it's meant to be, but you won't know that until you feel your way through. So it's feeling things and then really being in that moment, finding a few things that you like doing, whatever that is. Like for me, I'm very social, so often I will call someone, but I find it helpful because then I still have to think things through. And don't worry about all the thinking either. That's okay. We judge our thinking too fast. Thinking is done up there, but your body will tell you as well. Listening to your body is very important.
Honestly,
Yeah.
you are such a beautiful person inside and out, and it's just a pleasure. My last two questions, Amy, that I ask all my guests.
Okay.
If you were to pay yourself a compliment, what would it be?
That Do you know that I know how to self-soothe? And I think that it's because I love that little Amy so much that I've been able to validate and fill my cup with that. And anything else is more extra now. Not that I need other things. So when I walk into a room, I would say the compliment would be, it's Amy who's walking into the room. And I really do own it. And I'm proud of it. And it's my energy. I know what I bring to the table. And that is really, it can change, but that's what I mean. Each time I walk into a room or a situation, I own that energy. And it could be walking through a tube station, it could be wherever, sitting next to someone on a bus with a stranger. I think is that a compliment? I don't know, but
It
that's what I
is.
feel.
It absolutely is, and it's yeah, it's perfect. And what does free to be mean to you?
Yeah, I used to think that freedom meant that you're free to, and it does, you're free to choose what you wear, choose what you eat, choose who you see, choose where you go, because they're all important freedoms. You don't want someone else controlling your life, and a lot of people need to know that you can dress, you can do all of those things just as you want. Don't let the world tell you what to do. But for me, there's a freedom that I've found, and I call it almost like a freedom with a big F, and that is freedom from everything that limited me and held me back. And often it's to do with my past. For me, it's often the past. It's always going to the past because that doesn't let me be comfortable in my present. So it's letting go of those kind of pasts that really helped me to see that when you can't choose as well, like an illness or cancer, and you don't feel you can choose very much, that's where true freedom lies, is when you actually surrender to that uncertainty. I've never felt more free than practicing it at those times, if you like. So yes, so true freedom for me is something that I can let go of. I can take away that limit, if you like, whether it's self-limiting, and I can stride forward, and I'm still moving forward.
That's so powerful. Thank you so, so much, Amy, for your time today. And I can't wait to meet you in person and give you a big squeeze and dance with you. And I'm wishing you nothing but the best this year. So I'm sending all my love and
Thank you
thank you so
so
much for your
much,
time.
Rachel. Thank you. And you're a beautiful host, honestly. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Well, wasn't that another gem of a conversation? I actually have been left feeling a bit emotional after talking to Amy because she just speaks so much truth with honesty. She's such a beautiful person. She has faced lots of different challenges and has approached it in her own way, finding those joyful moments. And she's such a great example of just embracing life and, just living life to the full whenever you can and whatever that looks like for you, but just stopping and back to that word permission. We are giving you permission to take up space, to own your space, to find those joyful moments. It's not selfish, it is your right, like Amy said. And so many takeaways there from Amy, and I cannot wait to dance with her in person this year. And I will let you know when we do. Because if you do see her out in the streets dancing, please join in with her because she will guarantee to make you smile. And if not, cheer her on as she's doing it. So if you feel the moment and you feel like you need to dance to shake your blues away, I can't recommend doing that enough. We all need more dance in our life. I will be back next week, but don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share this with a friend that might need it today. And I will be back next week with another inspiring, wonderful guest. See you soon. Thank you so much for listening to Liberty Free to Be, and I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. If it spoke to you, please don't forget to follow, leave a review, and share with somebody who might need a reminder that they are free to be themselves. You can find me on Instagram at RachelPeru1, and don't forget to follow our growing swimwear brand community over at Liberty Free to Be. If you'd like even more connection and conversation, come and join our free Facebook group, the Liberty Lifestyle Hub, where over 300 women are cheering each other on every single day. Until next time, keep being fabulous.